This video is about bond tanks in World of Tanks. If you go to the store and you go to the bottom, there's a picture that looks like a stack of bills. These are the items for bonds, and these are the vehicles that you can purchase using your bonds, which are shown right here. You can see I already purchased a bunch of vehicles, and there are a lot more that I could purchase. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each tank. I've never played the M60. In general, tier 10 vehicles, like the 121B and the M60, they kind of evened out the penetration across all the vehicles. So they might have small differences, but there are some vehicles that have higher penetration. So this is going to be around 260. This is going to be around 260. The one thing about the M60 that's really good is it's very fast. The 121B has nice armor on it for a medium tank. We got these tier 8s like the IS-5 and the IS-6. I will tell you that the IS-5 is a better vehicle than the IS-6. The IS-6 has preferential matchmaking, which means you won't get matched against tier 10 tanks. But the IS-5 has better armor and better penetration. The IS-5 is kind of an average vehicle. It's probably not as good as a Defender, but it's just kind of middle of the road. KV-4, what's good about the KV-4 series of tanks is that they tend to have strong armor everywhere. Like the IS-6 might have a weak lower plate, but the KV-4, the lower plate's going to be strong. The STG Guard is not going to have a strong lower plate, but because it is a rear-mounted turret, you're going to bounce a lot more. It's going to be a lot easier to side scrape. We got the Patriot, the Liberté, and the Mutts. I didn't like playing the Mutts, but I believe it was a good performing tank when it came out. There are two versions of the Panzer 58 Mutts. The Liberté is a strong armored tank. It's got above average penetration. Patriot, I'm really not that sure about. FV215B is one of my better performing tanks. It's a rear mounted turret, which means that it's easier to side scrape with. M46 Patton is like all the other similar American medium tanks, such as the Patriot, although the Patriot might be a heavy tank. So if you play the ones in the tech tree, you get an idea of what it is. The Chrysler GF, this was overpowered when it came out, maybe not so much anymore. But as long as as long as the enemy doesn't get behind you, you've got really strong armor for tier 8. The Hydrostat, for me, it's fun to play. The T-34 Shielded I did well in. And the M10, it's going to have nice penetration because it's a tank destroyer. So we're going to look at the actual numbers here. So what you're going to notice is the M60 is a tier 10 vehicle. It's got the highest penetration at 268, 261 for the 121B, and 259 for the FV215B. So they're all similar, which again is common, and also the amount of damage is going to be around 400. The 1.53 aim time for the M60 is super awesome. That is why it is higher than everybody else. Also, the 1.59 over here is really good aim time. The 177, basically the 1.65, everything under 2 is good aim time. The 3.07 on the IS-5 is really going to hurt it. But the reason why they do that is, well, it looks like it has average penetration. Usually they do that to compensate for a penetration value or something like that. Notice that the 121B is a medium tank. It's got really good armor on it. Even the lower plate is not so bad. But that's really good, 275. And the 201 and the 200 for the IS-5 and the KV-4, I mean, it's good, but there's vehicles that have stronger armor for tier 8. That's why, they're not overpowered, but they are better than the IS-6. You see, it's only 150. As an example, the Liberté is at 250 and 190, which puts it higher than these other vehicles. If you want strong armor, you go with the Liberté, and you notice it has higher penetration at 232, which is above average for tier 8. IS-6 really doesn't have anything special for armor. The guard is actually okay, except for the lower plate. We got 254 over here for the Tier 10 vehicle. You can see that the Chrysler has Tier 10 turret armor. That would be kind of standard for Tier 10. And these are weakly armored vehicles, these last three. But the M10 is going to have a great gun on it because of the aim time. You'll note it also has the highest penetration out of these Tier 5 vehicles. So we're going to look at the speed of these vehicles. The top speed on the M60 at 60 is really good. That doesn't mean it's going to accelerate quickly, but the specific power is also pretty good. So 60 is actually very fast. It's faster than the other medium tank. Anything else stands out. You see a lot of 40s. Nothing special. Although the T34S comes in at 56. The Chrysler GF is a little slow. The 215B is a little slow. So that's about it. Of these tanks, are any of them awesome? I kind of like pulling out the M10 when I want to do some nice penetration. The Chrysler has its uses if you play it well. I love playing the FV215B. I would say the Liberté, I don't play it very much. IS-6 is a classic vehicle, but it's no longer a top vehicle. I would say try to get the M60. I don't like the style of tank, the 121B, because of my ping time. It's a little bit difficult for me to drive them around. They don't respond to the keyboard very well for me. I don't know how it is for you. I like playing the KR, even though there's so many other good tanks to play. I like playing the Panzer IV Hydrostat. I would say the 215B is a great vehicle to get. And even if you don't have a lot of Tier 8 heavy tanks, I would start with maybe an IS-5. And I would strongly consider the M60. If you have a lot of experience with this style of Russian or Chinese tanks, definitely go for it if you think it's the right move. Okay, so that's a little bit about the bonded tanks. You can earn bonds by participating in the Battle Pass, by playing Tier 10. If you go into Tier 10, you see how it has the bonds over here? It'll show you the vehicles. They have this purple tint that will earn bonds. And there's other ways to earn bonds with missions, etc. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please post below.